All right, in this episode of the Fit Rockstar Show, I have for you all the way from Jersey, he's actually from Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Beast, Akim Williams, top Olympian. Thank you for coming over to the Fit Rockstar Studios. So,
thank you so much for having me.
It's great having you. I'm loving the red.
Yeah,
red is a very powerful color.
Of course.
Is that your favorite color?
Well, I like blue better. Blue is my favorite color, but being that I'm part of Team Muscle Meds, that's the color of Muscle Meds, so
and you
I
guys got some really good products.
Yeah,
too.
thank you.
Where's my hookup here? I got nothing.
Whenever you come back to visit New York, I'll definitely hook you up.
Now you are in Jersey, right?
Yeah,
but
Jersey
you're from Brooklyn.
From Brooklyn,
Bronzeville?
Yeah. Bronzeville, yeah.
Okay. See, I did some research on you. Why did you move from Brooklyn to Jersey?
Just getting away from the city, different opportunity, and I met someone at the time.
Oh.
I met someone that I was dating, and we moved out there to get closer and be together and stuff like that.
Oh, you're such a good guy. Now, you have an accent. Obviously, you've got the New York thing, but you're also, what is your nationality?
My background is basically Grenadian and Trinidadian. My mom is from Grenada, so I have a Caribbean background.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's why you got those beautiful genetics. So I first saw you at the IFBB Pro a few years ago, and I saw you walking out. I'm like, holy shit. Who is this dude? This guy was huge, massive, looked like a future Mr. Olympia, in my opinion. You have one of the best packages I've ever seen, so much mass. How do you, obviously, you haven't been from what I hear, you haven't been bodybuilding very long.
Well, my bodybuilding journey started pretty awkwardly. Like you said, I haven't been bodybuilding pretty long. I did my first amateur show back in 2010, 2011. And before that, I've been only bodybuilding for like maybe 6 months.
And you turned pro at the North Americans in 2013?
Yeah.
Wow. So let's go back a little bit. So before 2011, you were training. Did you do sports? What was your thing?
Basketball, played basketball. And then from there, got a job in the weight room with the strength coach. And just training, basically. A friend of mine actually was thinking about going to the Marines. Oh. So I was his training partner because he wanted to get in shape for the Marines. And what I've noticed was I keep on just putting on muscle and getting better and looking better. And he pretty much stayed the same. So after a while, he just gave up on it. And I stuck with it. Now,
okay, you're, I'm going to guess, from here, you look like you're 350 pounds, which I know. And I mean muscle, but you're probably, what, 300 around there?
Yeah, close to about the 300
Close
mark.
about 300,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you play basketball, obviously, I can't see a guy at 300 pounds playing basketball.
No.
You were not 300 pounds.
My last physical for basketball, it was about, I think, 147.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What an amazing transformation.
Yeah.
So your buddy wanted to go to the Marines. You guys trained together. And then you stuck to the training.
Yeah.
And then when did you decide... Actually, how did you get spotted? Somebody told you, hey, you should do a bodybuilding show. How did that happen?
Interestingly enough, one day after... Because this is the time when I was actually in undergrad at college. I was heading home from the weight room. I just finished closing up the weight room. And I got on the bus, and back in the old days in New York, we use Metro cards.
Yeah, I remember Metro card. You slide that thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so I decided to put my Metro card into the slot, and there was a lady sitting right behind the bus driver, and she saw me, and she was just like, "Oh my God!" And I'm like, "What the hell is this lady talking about?" And she's just like, "Your triceps," and I'm like, "Okay, thank you." So then I sat down, and she called me over. I got closer, and she gave me a business card, and she just like, do you compete, or have you ever thought about competing in bodybuilding? And I told her, no, I didn't even know what it was. And she just like, well, I live out in Staten Island, and here's my business card, and I want to introduce you to somebody very special. You should come out to Staten Island and meet with me. So I pondered on it for a few days, and I finally made up my mind. I had a good friend of mine. I was like, listen, I'm not going to go out to Staten Island by myself. I'm gonna bring you out there with me just in case, like this is some crazy stuff. We get to the gym.
Tie you up or something.
Yeah, exactly. We get to the gym, and she comes up to me and she introduces herself again, and then she's just like, "Well, I'm waiting on my husband. He's gonna get here pretty soon." So we waited for like 30 minutes. He showed up pretty late, finally he comes in and she introduces him, and turns out his name is Leon Brown.
Oh, yes.
He used to be training partner with Arnold Schwarzenegger and everything like that back in the days. And he shows up in the gym and he's very upset. So I'm like, man, why is this guy upset? Like, so he's pissed off that she took him away from his training because he was obsessed training. And he's just like, man, her name is, the lady's name was Danielle. He's just like, Danielle, you took me away from my training to meet some bum off the street. Like, you probably look like crap. So he walks downstairs and he sees me, him and his friend, and he's just like, okay. His friend goes up to me like, listen, son, strip. I'm like, excuse me? He's like, strip. I'm like,
you had no idea.
Yeah, I have no idea what he's talking about. I'm like, I'm not taking my clothes off in the middle of this gym. Then he went a little closer and he's standing in front of me and he said, listen, we're not gay. Strip down to your underwear. We just want to see what you look like. Right. So I stripped down to my underwear in the middle of the gym. Everybody's looking at me like, is this guy crazy? Leon looks at me up and down. He took a complete walk around me, looked at me, and he's just like, all right, we're doing a show next week.
Doing a show? Wow.
Yeah, doing a show next week. I had no idea how to pose, no idea what I was doing. And turns out that show was one of his friends, Bill Grant.
Oh, yes.
Bill Grant Classic.
Wow.
Yeah, out in Pennsylvania. I think it was in 2010 or 2011. So we drove out that weekend to the Bill Grant Classic and did that show. And I actually won the whole thing.
So Leon sees you, and he's just, you're in great condition, obviously. And you weren't preparing for a contest. You had no idea what bodybuilding was.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, we're doing a show next week. And you go in there and you whoop everybody's ass. And then that started the journey onto where you are now, right? So
very true.
So what happened? So after you won that show, then did he pump you up saying, hey, you could become a pro? Or
No, nothing like that. We had no aspirations of being professional or anything like that. He just thought I had potential and he just wanted me to compete.
That was it.
That was it. It's funny story about that. I met a guy that remembers me from back then. I was out at Bev Francis training and he was actually training out there, and he came up to me and he's just like, you remember me? And I'm like, not really. He's just like, well, I remember you. So I'm like, okay. He's just like, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I've done a lot of shows in my years. I think he has the most amateur shows under his belt as far as a competitor. And he was telling my friend Justin at the time, he's just like, back then, Akim showed up and we were all happy about we're about to kill the show. And this kid showed up backstage and we took one look at him and we're like, we already lost.
Yes.
And in my head, when I showed up, I'm looking at everybody. I'm like, holy crap, look at these guys. They look insane, but not knowing that they were all looking at me the same way.
So you didn't really see yourself
Exactly.
Kind of reminds me of Ronnie Coleman, because when he first started competing, he didn't really see what everybody else saw.
Yeah.
And of course, he became the greatest in the world. But looking at you, I can't even imagine what you looked like back then. So all these people were freaking out over you. And then you ended up winning that show as well. Right?
I ended up winning the whole show.
So when did you decide, I'm going to become a pro? Actually, who was your role model? Was Leon your role model for, bodybuilding, or who was it that?
The first professional bodybuilder I actually ever saw was Johnny Jackson, actually.
Yeah,
a friend of mine, when I was working at the Men's Warehouse, had a magazine, and Johnny was featured on it. And I remember looking at him, I'm like, what the hell? I couldn't believe people actually look like that.
Now you're bodybuilding though, so you knew you were around this already. But when you saw Johnny,
he was crazy. It took it to a next level. Yeah.
And he's a power lifter.
Yeah.
So he's got that crazy shape.
Yeah. But as far as your question, as far as role model, I was always fascinated with Dexter Jackson.
The Blade.
Always. Yeah.
He's a fascinating guy.
I was always impressed with, how long he was able to do it and at the level that he did it, and, just being Mr. Consistent. He was consistent in every aspect of bodybuilding,
So when did you decide, okay, I'm going to become a pro?
It happened after my first time going to the national level, which was, I think it was 2011 or 2012. I did the junior nationals. And I'm very realistic, and I made a goal. I set a goal that time for that show, and I said, if I could go to junior nationals and place top 5, then I knew that I actually have what it takes to be a professional bodybuilder. And I achieved my goal. I think I came in either 4th or 3rd place at the junior nationals. And I was really happy because that was my first time ever like going to nationals or any of the shows like that, and I was able to accomplish that top
excitement was
5.
crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was right then I realized like, all right, I got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. We always have a lot, but look at you now. I mean, you got your pro card at the North American, and then you went on competing, and so you actually have 3 pro wins under your belt, correct?
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I get this right. If I don't, you can kill me. I know you just recently the Puerto Rico Pro, Chicago, and Tampa.
What, the Puerto Rico Pro, Tampa,
and Chicago or New York Pro?
Chicago. You're right.
So all right. So I got it.
Yeah,
right?
you got it right.
Okay.
You got it right.
New York Pro, I think you should have won that.
Yeah, I think so too.
I love one, but I think you should have won that. Show. That's just me.
People always ask how I got here. I was willing to work just a little harder than everyone else. Every damn day. If I can have hundreds of hours back, you know I'm gonna grab them. Spending hours prepping chicken, rice, and vegetables, F that. I rely on perfect nutrition. I rely on trifecta.
There's a lot of shows I feel that you should have placed higher. I mean, again, when I first saw you Indie Pro, I'm looking at you and I'm like, this guy is going to be something big. You are a threat. When you are on, you're a threat. So in saying that, out of all the contests you've done so far, what is your best look to date?
Oh man, I would have to say 2020 Miss Olympia. It's between 2020 Miss Olympia, and I also like my Toronto look also. 2018 Toronto Pro. Those 2 looks I thought were really, really good.
Now, 2020 was a very rough year for you.
Yeah.
Being in New York, or actually Jersey at the time, right? Okay. And then dealing with the COVID because everything was shut down. And you ended up coming in 6th place at the Olympia, which nobody saw that.
Yeah.
Like you just, because the year before that, you were 9th.
Yeah.
And you came out of nowhere and just shocked everybody with this. So what did you go through in that year for prep?
It was really, really hard training because no gyms were open, actually. Luckily, my coach had a little studio gym, but it was all the way back in New York. So I was driving like 4 hours a day to train.
Just to train?
Yeah. 2 hours to go, 2 hours to come back, so about 4 hours just to train. So that talk about commitment, it was definitely a commitment, and it definitely proved that I actually wanted to succeed.
How do you maintain the mass? I mean, how, like, food-wise, you got to be eating a lot of food.
Actually, quite the opposite.
Really?
Anybody that knows me know I hate eating.
So you are like a Dexter Jackson because he doesn't like to eat either.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
so
interesting.
For some reason, I'm just able to maintain the muscle mass that I need without, like, pounding down a lot of food.
And you lift like a beast, obviously. I mean, I saw one video of you squatting, and it looked like you had 10 plates on each side. I mean, I don't know, but what was your heaviest squat?
My heaviest I ever did was around, like, I think it was like 850 or 830, something like that. I actually have it on camera. Back when I was at Blackstone Labs, you know, PJ Brown could attest to that because he was actually in the gym. We actually have it on camera, have it on film. I did like around like 825 or stuff like that.
Jesus Christ. You are the beast. But going back to the COVID, you had to go back and forth, the 4 hour drive total, you know, which is obviously, that's a lot. And then you got your posing, you've got everything else. So what else did you do to prepare for the Olympia that last year with the COVID? I mean, anything else restrict you?
Besides, I mean, the biggest issue was the gym situation, just finding a facility that was open for me to train.
So everything else was just easy,
not really. I mean, it was a problem finding food too, because you know at that time they had a lot of shortages on food, like chicken and all this other stuff like that.
You had to go kill some chickens, and chop down some cows. Hey, you got to do what you got to do, right?
Exactly.
Shoot, man, but that's a lot of respect. But going into this year, and I know we didn't get the best placing we wanted, although you should have. Again, you are one of those guys, and I'm saying this to you because I really am a big fan of yours.
Thank you.
You're one of those guys that can come in and kick everybody's ass. You really can. And I think that a lot of the issue is, you know, I know like before, you know, your back was one of the weak points, but I think if you nail down that conditioning, it's game over. Look, the Arnold Classic. Everybody was looking at you as the guy to come in and dominate. Now, I know we have the Arnold Classic coming up here soon. Are you going to take a break, or are you going to go? Now, I'm going to say this. You have never had a real off season.
No, I haven't.
So 2019, I had a look, and I couldn't believe it. I was counting 9 shows. 9 shows.
9 shows, yeah.
How did you even do it? And the funny thing is, you didn't even lose your edge. Like, you actually got better.
Better, yeah.
And most people, it's the opposite. So how does that even work?
I think, at the time we were hungry, and we were not going to be denied. I know I belong on that Olympia stage, and I know I belong in that top 10. So I'm like, the goal is to go to Olympia and get top 10. And that's what we set out to do, and that's what we accomplished.
Now, in 2020, who were you working with at the Olympia?
Well, I mean, my coach that I always work with, which is Oscar Arden, he had some personal issues that he was dealing with. So, he needed some time off, to take care of that. So I reached out to a good friend of mine, Justin Miller, and we started that journey for the Puerto Rico Pro. We went there, we got that win. So definitely thank you. Definitely thank you to Justin for that. But, some things that, me and him didn't agree with. So I kind of reached back out to a good friend of mine, which is Abdullah from Camel Crew. And we worked for the Arnold, and we worked for the Olympia also. And Abdullah also helped me with the Puerto Rico show also. So,
now,
thank you
to
to him.
Did you have to go to Kuwait for that?
No, I actually stayed home and did everything myself. He just did the diet and everything like that.
And now who are you working with?
Well,
I got to ask these questions now.
I mean, now that everything.
You don't want to tell. I get it.
I want everybody to know that everything is back okay with Oscar, and he handled his personal situation, and he's back better than ever. So 2022, we're definitely going to be teaming back up and getting ready for a few shows.
Are you going to a few shows? So there it is. So you're not going to take a true off season.
Yeah. Well, originally when I spoke to Oscar, he said, like, all right, let's finally take an off season and make some improvements. But I'm like, you know what, Oscar? I always grow when I compete anyway. Whenever I'm doing a show, I actually add on muscle. So he's like, yeah, that's true. So I'm like, maybe we should put in for that Arnold Classic in March. And he's like, all right, if mentally you're ready for it, let's do it. So
you're definitely mentally ready for it.
Yeah, mentally I'm ready for it. Yeah.
You can, I'll say it again, man. You can go in there and whoop everybody's ass. It's that mental mindset. I mean, you've got the body. Look, Nick is awesome. He's got a great physique. He is the mutant, as we know. But when it comes down to nitty gritty, it's the best one on that stage, right?
Yeah, true.
Now you have a lot of people, and who love your physique. There is nothing like it again. I mean, you, in my opinion, I thought, and I still think that you could be a potential Mr. Olympia. You've got that whole package. It's just bringing it in and down and in, as you know. So yeah, I think you can come into the Arnold and whoop some candy ass and get up there. But are you going to then, since you said shows, so you already have another show in mind as well. So I'm going to guess you may do Puerto Rico?
Maybe Puerto Rico again, defend my title. And the New York Pro is always a
nice.
goal that I want to attain, just from being from New York. Exactly.
Again, you came real close.
Yeah.
That would be super sweet. You come in and dominate and kick ass.
Yeah.
Again, listen, I think it's the year of the Beast, the Brooklyn Beast next year.
I think so too. This year, even though I won a show and I'm still top 10 in Olympia, I felt like it was a little bit of a disappointment to me. A lot of people might say, nah, you did an amazing job. But to me, I felt like it was a little bit of a disappointment.
I don't understand, because as an athlete, you want more.
Yeah.
You're not just going to settle for, that placing. You want more. You want to be number one, right?
Not to mention, that new Corvette came out, and I was actually thinking about it. So
I thought you already had the new Corvette because you're a car guy.
No. I'm still in the 6th generation phase.
Okay. Now, that's your other hobby, cars, right?
Yes.
So how did you get into that?
Well, I mean, growing up, back in Brooklyn, there was this guy on the corner that had I think it was a 5th generation C5 Corvette that when it first came out, and I saw that car for the first time. And it just blew my mind away. And ever since, I've been in love with the Corvette.
Now you're a Corvette guy.
Yeah, I was like, once I get older and I actually could afford it, that's a car I wanted.
That's C8 though.
That's a goal right now, C8.
Have you drove one yet?
No, but I've been up close and seen them. Seen them, everything like that. But I've yet to driven one.
Those bucket seats.
Might be a tough fit, but I'll fit in my C6. So
it'd be a tight little squeeze. I'd pay money to see that. So what's the game plan that you guys have for this year? What is the deal? You want to put on more size? Are you looking to, what's the...
I mean, for me, my legs has always been a very dominant part of my physique. And my upper body is always a part in terms of my shoulders and not my arms. My shoulders is always something that, disappears really fast when I start dieting. So the goal is to just make those improvements in my upper body, keep the same size legs or even a little bit better, and show up with really good condition like 2020 Olympia or even better condition.
So what do you, do you do a lot of carbs in your diet? Are you carb sensitive?
About moderate carbs. Yeah, I'm not carb sensitive at all. Moderate carbs. If I do carb sensitive, if I go low carbs, then my body kind of goes the opposite direction. Mm-hmm. So. Mm-hmm.
And, sad that we lost a great one, Sean Roden, which is, now he was a friend of yours as well.
Yeah, I know Sean pretty well.
Sorry to hear for your loss with that because, I miss him. And what do you think of the sport now with a lot of our athletes passing away? Do you think that's a big issue?
Yeah, it hit me pretty hard. Like both shows, the Arnold Classic and Olympia, was pretty hard for me. Because the Arnold Classic, I found out that my mentor and good friend Leon Brown passed away. And then right after that, going into the Olympia, I found out like my training partner, George Patterson, passed away.
Oh, he was your training partner?
Yeah, he was my training partner. We trained for the whole of 2021. We trained together. And that hit me pretty hard. George is I don't want to say was, it's kind of hard saying was because I still feel like sometimes it didn't happen.
Yes, yeah.
He's an amazing person, man. Just nothing bad to say about that guy. I loved every moment of getting to train with him, and just a few moments we had in the diners and sitting there and just talking, and it's just something I would cherish for the rest of my life.
George
getting to know him.
Would always put a smile on people's face.
Yes, yeah.
And he'd always be so silly with his little videos and. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for George, and it does feel like he's still here.
Exactly. Yeah,
it's like some sick joke. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm sorry, I didn't know he was your training partner. And if anything, George is going to be always by our side. Mm-hmm. And it was sad what happened at the Olympia, but it was a great Olympia.
Yeah,
I will say that.
Yeah.
What was your first Olympia experience like?
2016 was the first time I actually got on that Olympia stage. And I'll tell you a funny story. I get there and Cedric McMillan, he pulled me aside and he told me, he's just like, well, you finally made it to the big dance, but it's going to go by fast.
Oh,
so try to take it in as much as you can,
Did it go by real fast?
It actually really, it happened just the way you said it, before I know it, on stage, off stage, and then, thank you.
Thank you.
See you
Bye.
next year.
Good
Exactly.
Now, are you him best of friends too?
Cedric, he's somebody I've looked up to and somebody I've always, admired for, just the way he goes about being a bodybuilder,
He's got a good mindset.
Yeah.
And Cedric, he likes to entertain.
Yeah.
I hope that he comes back strong next year and dominates. This year, again, I was hoping for more. Mm-hmm. He's such a great athlete, like yourself. Mm-hmm. So how do you keep in a positive mindset with training and focus? Are you antisocial when you get into the zone?
It's to be honest with you, I feel like I need to be more antisocial because the gyms that I train out of, everybody know who I am, and every once in a while they'll just come up and just spark conversations. So I feel like going into 2021, I think I'm definitely going to need to be a little bit more selfish, and kind of be the bad guy a little bit. Because if I keep doing what I did in 2020, then I'm not going to get stuff done.
What did you do in 2020?
I would literally stop and, talk to people because I didn't want to seem like I was rude or because you never want that, Akim, he's an asshole. You don't want people going around saying that, So I would literally stop when I'm training and just have a casual conversation, and not telling them like, hey, I need to get back to my training and stuff like that. So I think I definitely need to be more selfish.
You of all people, top Olympia.
Yeah.
Yes, you definitely need to be more selfish.
Yeah.
And look, I'm a nice person myself, but when it comes to the gym, that is your work.
Yeah.
That is how you make your bread and butter.
And it's sad because a lot of people don't see it like that. They feel like you're in there the same as them, just like after their job, they go in there and, you know, that's their recreational time. But to me, it's not, you know.
No,
So like you said, I have to be more selfish.
You have to be more selfish. I mean, listen, it's not fun yelling at people and telling them, not even speaking to them, but they have to understand. In order to be the best in the world, this is what you have to do, right? So you're going to not be as nice in 2022? So if I come up to you while you're lifting, hey, man, are you a bodybuilder? What are you gonna, you ever get, what is the most silliest question somebody's asked you?
And then the traditional one, do you work out? You know, you always get those, you know.
You get that?
Yeah, do you work out, or how often you work out, or, you know, what do you do for biceps, or like,
What do you do for biceps?
you know,
Well, I would
just-
ask you, what do you do for biceps? I mean, come on, man, look at those guns. They're like cannonballs. You know?
you know, you get the weirdest questions, man. You know,
Do you get, well, I have to ask. Do you get DM, like weird requests in your DMs?
not as much as before, man. Before
Like
I
send
used
me
to
your
get,
dirty underwear or
I
something?
used to get a lot of crazy stuff, especially from Facebook. I mean, not even on Instagram. On Facebook, I got a lot of really crazy messages. Like one time, I mean, can I give examples on here?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want. Yeah.
One time I had a gentleman reach out to me, and he sent me a picture of a big black stallion. And I thought it was just like, I mean, somebody send you a picture of a horse, you're going to be like, okay, you know, what is this about? So I asked him, and he told me him and his wife is thinking about having a baby, and they would like me to be the donor.
Oh my God. What did you say?
He was willing to pay me, I think he said $15,000 or $20,000 to be the donor.
Jesus Christ.
And the whole aspect of the stallion is basically, I guess he was trying to say I'm some kind of stud, and
You're a stud.
yeah, said I had like amazing genetics, and he wanted
He wanted your amazing genetics.
basically. So
Wow.
So
So what
I-
happened? Did you get 20?
I don't know. 20,000 I don't think is enough for my participation in something like
Isn't
that.
it? So now, when you first got into bodybuilding, and then you started getting these weird requests, did that freak you out? Like, what the hell is this?
I mean, from coming up in the sport and hearing other people's story and stuff like that, I was actually expecting it. So I had friends that, you know, one of my good friends, you know, Roxanne Edwards, you know, she's also a professional bodybuilder. I'm sure you probably heard of her before. She would always talk about like crazy stories like that. So
Do you know Pauline Nelson?
yes, I know Pauline Nelson.
She's crazy. Now, you train in Steve's gym, right?
Yes, yeah.
You know how many times I've been in New York and I've not been to Steve's gym?
Oh wow, really? Wow.
It's a problem. I need to go to Steve's gym.
You definitely need to check it out.
I know. So what's it like training there?
It's definitely inspirational, motivational, because you see all the photos on the wall of past champions and stuff like that. So if you need some motivation and, you know, just to get like a library of what bodybuilding is and what bodybuilding, you know, where it came from and everything like that, there's a whole collage of photos all around the gym that you could just, every time you do a set and you need some motivation, you could just stare up and see somebody and get inspiration from them.
You ever ask Steve to look at you?
Yeah.
And is he mean? Like, is he?
No. He's very nice about it. You know, even leading up to this Arnold and this Olympia, you know, I went out there a few times and have him take a look at me. And
I love Steve.
I've always appreciated his honest opinion. you know.
Yes, and he does give a painfully honest
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
But I need to make my way out there. But, you know, one of the things I want to talk to you about is you are very sweet and you have very good manners, and I appreciate that. And you're also a very good ambassador of the sport.
Thank you.
But how do you stay so positive? Where did you get that from? Your mommy and dad? I mean, who raised you to be so respectful and just have that great mindset that you?
I mean, I pretty much, just who I am as a person, you know, and my beliefs and stuff like that. You know, it doesn't matter, you know, how much you accomplish and stuff like that. As long as you're who you are as a person and genuine and you treat people right, you know, that's always going to shine through, you know.
Tell me, I saw a video of you a while back where you're breaking a toothbrush. You're trying to brush. What was that all about?
Well, one of my
I know you're strong.
one of my friends, you know, she has a clinic, a dental clinic facility, and she wanted to make it more, how you say, normal for everyday people. You know, just showing you that not just, you know, dentists are not just like scary people that
You diet down, train hard, and supplement smart for months. When the time comes to step on stage, don't leave your tan to chance. Go with the pros. Pro Tan. #1 worldwide since 1987 and the official sponsor of the Olympia for the last 15 years. Don't step on stage without it. Pro Tan.
Scary people.
You got to be nervous around when you go get your teeth
Well, you're
fixed.
not really normal now, are you?
Well,
You don't look like the average Joe on the street.
but most people when they think about going to the dentist, they think like you're going to have a jackhammer in your jaw and all this other stuff like that. So she kind of wanted to break those stereotypes about going to see the dentist.
I saw that and I was like, oh, that's pretty hilarious.
So use like the most obnoxious big person that you could find,
which is you.
Make it seem like he's going to go to the dentist. People kind of like gravitate to it, stuff like that, because you're like, oh, if he could do it, then I could do it.
You're a big cuddly teddy bear. What do you think of the new Olympia rules where it's top 3 that requalify?
As far as the open?
In all the divisions now, it's only top 3.
Oh, I see. I this is news to me because I was thinking it was top 5.
No.
Oh, so it's changed again.
It's changed again. So now it's top 3.
I feel like they keep making it harder and harder, and at some point, a lot of great athletes that deserve to be on that stage didn't go. If you look at last year, you had Steve Kuklo, you had Sergio, you had guys like that didn't make it to the Olympia.
I would have loved to have seen a Sergio and Steve Kuklo.
Exactly, and because of all the rules and changes and stuff like that. But I think it should be top 5 for the Olympia, at least top 5. If not top 10, because what's the point of having a top 10 if those guys don't even get points?
Right.
If that, I would say top 5 for the Olympia, and top 10, the guys after 5th place should get points towards next year's Olympia at least.
Are you happy with how everything is done now at the Olympia? As far as you've been doing this a long time, so for you, do you feel that there's things that could be improved?
Definitely. I liked it back in the days when you got into that top 10 call out, like they would actually not just, at least the top 10 kind of differentiate them from everybody else and have them on stage and call out their name and call out the placing and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like how they did it back in the days, they would actually bring the top 10 on stage and say in 10th place, in 9th place, such and such and such. I think that they should definitely go back to that.
Sure.
You just make sure the show is more prestigious in a sense.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I think a lot of that probably too is done because of the timing. Because we have I think 11 divisions, 10 or 11. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So we won't be leaving there till 12 at night. But still, regardless, you're still saying with everybody have that at least that one wave top 10. Well, hopefully it changed. Are you happy it's back in Vegas?
You're putting me on the spot.
I am.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. No, I'm not. I'm not happy it's back in Vegas. I actually liked it in Florida.
You did
because it's close. It's not like Vegas to me is almost like 7-hour flight. Florida's like 2-3 hours away. And I just like the atmosphere in Florida, but
we got the beach.
Exactly.
I'm there.
Yeah.
Come on now.
But I understand why they brought it back to Vegas. But Florida was nice. For the time that it was in Florida, I actually enjoyed it.
Do you think that they should move the Olympia around? Maybe move it, say Atlanta. Instead of one location. Do you think they should move it around or just?
Wasn't it like that in the past?
It was.
Back in the days? I think that's a great idea. I think that could work out. A lot of people would probably appreciate that.
Where do you see yourself in 3 years? Do you see yourself still competing, or are you going to eventually say, okay, you know what, I'm done?
In 3 years, I want to do this for maybe another 4 years. I think that's my max limit. I could definitely see myself doing this for 4 years, 4 years more, and then hopefully by then, I have a major title under my belt, whether it's an Arnold or Olympia.
The Arnold coming up would be a great title.
Yeah.
And, of course, the Olympia.
Yeah.
Now, with you and Oscar back, so obviously you have a lot of improvement. I don't know what else. What more are you guys going to do to your physique? Really?
I will leave that.
You had the sickest back, by the way, last year. It's incredible the improvements you made. You don't F around.
Yeah. Oscar told me, he had a lot of time to assess my physique, and he said he got a lot of stuff that he wants to do. So I'm excited to get started as soon as I get back.
Do you train once a day, or do you like twice a day kind of deal?
For this past year, I've been training once a day. So
I'm still surprised how you did 9 shows in 1 year. That's just insane. Nobody really does that, though.
yeah.
What other things would you like to do outside of, I mean, you know, if you had, besides bodybuilding, what other things do you do?
Well, I'm not, like you said, I'm a huge car guy. So at some point, you know, I want to, you know, take a few more driving lessons under my belt and get into like racing. You know, I might have to downsize a little bit.
Lee Priest did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have to downsize a little bit, but I definitely want to build up my car. I mean, if I can't get a new car, maybe I'll just work on the one that I have and keep building it out. Yeah.
What any other plans that you have?
Definitely. I gotta go back to Grenada and spend some time with my mom too. She's getting older. Yeah. So that's definitely on the horizon. You know, go back there and spend some time with her.
What does your family think about you as a competitor?
Well, from my background, you know, I graduated with a degree in computer science.
Oh, wow.
When I started bodybuilding, I was in grad school to get my master's in public administration, which I never finished. And my mom, still to this day, she's a little bit like, I understand you're a bodybuilder, but I really wish you had taken the other route and just finished your education, you know. But she supports it, and she understands why I do what I do. And, you know, that's a lot coming from her, because I know she really don't know anything about bodybuilding.
So when you you made the cover of MD magazine in September, right? Which was very cool.
Thank you.
How did you find out? Did they just secretly, like, did you know ahead of time?
Yeah, they actually sent out a photo of the cover, and they told me about it and told me.
So you just said, hey, how did they do it? Tell me how they, like, how did they surprise you?
Well, I got a text message from the owner, and he told me what I think
Steve?
about this. Yeah. Steve Blackman.
Steve is a huge fan of yours, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah. We go way back, you know. I'll tell you a story about him after I'm finished with this, but he sent me a text message, and he's like, Akim, what do you think about this? And then I opened it up, and I saw it was a cover. So I was definitely happy about it.
Did you get very emotional and stuff?
Happy. Yeah, that happy emotion,
You're
you know.
freaking cover of the, yeah, I'd be jumping up and down.
Well, this is my second cover, actually.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
So what was it? Tell me the year that you had your first cover.
I think it was back in 2016, I think, or 15. 16, I think it was. I was at the time, they were saying that I was arguably the world's strongest bodybuilder. So the cover cover was Akim, world's strongest bodybuilder.
Yeah.
It was a picture of me squatting Bev Francis. We actually did that photo shoot right after a show, I think. And I was squatting like 5 or 6 plates, like
Jesus.
right after the show. Yeah.
That's why you're the beast. So then he sends you this thing, and you're on the cover, and then that was it, right?
Yeah, that was definitely cool too, especially the photo that they took too, with me hitting the victory pose and everything.
Yeah, the victory, which is not a lot of people can hit that pose very well.
Yeah.
And you mastered that.
Yeah.
It's a great shot, and it's a great cover.
Yeah.
I remember when that came out, I was like, oh, So that's, I mean, again, this just shows and proves that you've got a lot of people behind you that think that you're something special.
Thank you.
Listen, it's guys like you that make the sport awesome and great.
I mean, I have to also give credit to Gerard Dente, the owner of Muscle Meds, because without his support and without the company supporting me, I definitely couldn't keep doing this the way I'm doing it.
Thank you, Mr. Dente, because you are. Listen, we need more athletes like you. You make the sport great.
Yeah,
you really do.
Thank you.
I mean, a lot of people pay the big money to see you because, again, the size and what you bring, posing's great. You just. I'm waiting for that day when we're going to hear your name in first place for like the Olympia win.
It's interesting because I just came back from India, and one of the things that they were really impressed to see me out there is basically the amount of size and how big I was in person. They couldn't believe that I actually looked like the way I did in person.
I saw Sharu. He's like 300 pounds, and he was even surprised. But the whole treatment you got, now when you got there, they were treating you like a god.
Yeah, I mean, they really appreciate the whole sport of bodybuilding and what it means to compete and stuff like that. They really, really enjoy it and appreciate it. So
this is what kills me. How many people were in attendance at this?
At least probably over 100,000.
Not 1,000.
Yeah, close to 100,000.
100,000.
Yeah. Within the 3 days that we were there, they had to be at least 100,000.
Could you imagine if we had that here?
Yeah, it would be insane.
It would be, well, first of all, COVID restrictions would be going nuts over that. Which over there, it's different. Right?
Yeah, I mean, they still, there's still masks. You got to walk around the mask and stuff like that. But in the arena itself, it's kind of like your choice. If you choose to wear it, you wear it. If you don't, then,
So the Chiru Classic over there was a 3-day event.
Yeah.
It looked crazy.
Yeah,
You had a whole bunch of bodybuilders as well. I think Sergio was there too.
Sergio Oliva was there. Sergio Oliva Jr. was there. Dexter Jackson. Big Ramy was actually there too. He guest posed.
When you first met Dexter, who was your idol, what was that like?
Oh man, it was surreal.
And where did you meet him?
My first time meeting Dexter, I think, was at the 2016 Chicago Pro when I won. I think I met him before, but the first time I actually getting to talk to him.
Did you go up to him or he came up to you?
He came up to me and he's just like, congratulations, after prejudge.
Wow.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's just like, bro, you won.
Wow. So he already knew.
Yeah, he already knew. Yeah, he's like, from prejudge, he's like, yeah, you won, bro.
That had to be a huge, oh my God.
I was trying, I went back to the hotel room. I'm like, Dexter just told me I won, but I'm like, all right, don't let it get to your head.
Right.
Until the show is over.
Aw. Tell me the story you're going to tell me about Steve.
I mean, back in 2014, when I did my first pro show, I think I did New York Pro. And I didn't do as well as I wanted to. And then after the show, I got a message from Steve. And he's like, Akim, I was at the New York Pro. I was front row. I seen you, and you have a lot of potential. And I'm willing to sign you on a little like mini contract with MD. And I want you to go to Chicago Pro and compete in Chicago Pro. We're gonna pay for your flight, your hotel, and anything like that. And I'm like, all right, cool. And he's just like, all I need you to do is go out there and place top 5. And remember back when I told you in 2011 when I did the junior nationals, I set goals, and I told myself if I could place top 5 there, I could definitely be a professional bodybuilder. So I told myself if I could go to Chicago and at least place top 5 at the Chicago Pro, then I knew that I could actually, have a career in this industry of the IFBB. And I set that goal, like, okay, Akim, go there and place top 5. Because remember, a couple weeks before that, I came in 11th at the New York Pro.
Right.
So, jumping from 11th to top 5 of the Chicago Pro was a pretty big deal.
Now that year you won, though, right?
No, I came in actually 5th or 4th, I think.
5th or 4th.
Yeah. That was the year Rolly Winkler won.
Oh,
yeah.
So 2019 is when you won this?
I won the Chicago Pro in 2000. I won the Tampa Pro in 2016 and Chicago in 2020.
I want to say 20.
20,
okay.
yeah.
All right. I'll just keep on thinking 2019.
Yeah.
So then you got signed on with MD when you got in the top.
Fair.
And then you knew this is what I meant to do.
Yeah. I mean, I went there, I placed top 5, and I was like, all right, you definitely could do this. Because you're competing against like seasoned veterans, and you could actually hold your own.
You can definitely hold your own. Again, I think it's going to be exciting what you're going to be bringing next year, especially you back with Oscar now. And it's real game time now.
Yeah, I mean, me and Oscar, we work really well together. It's more like a friendship than a coach-athlete relationship.
But he's the one who got you more into the bodybuilding training, right? Because you were before you were a powerlifter.
Yeah, more like powerlifting.
Yeah.
More
so
like,
what is, to explain to other people, what is the difference?
Well, when I trained by myself, I would do like the 850 squat and stuff like that, 800 deadlift. But I would do low reps. I would do 3 to 5 reps and think I was actually bodybuilding. And I didn't know that you had to do 15 to 20 reps to bodybuild. It's a huge difference.
You weren't doing 850 with 20 reps.
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
No, I wish. I had to lighten up the weights a lot.
My
I had to
God.
lighten up the weights a lot, But like I said, I was doing stuff that powerlifters do, trying to, squat 850. That's stuff that powerlifters are doing.
You eat your spinach,
inside
don't you? Now, do you train as heavy like that now?
No. Very, I'm old now, man. I see some of these young kids, doing amazing things, and sometimes I look back at some of my old videos and I'm like shaking my how the hell did I actually do that?
You did it. Right? I think the most ever leg press was 1,500 pounds, but that's when I was like 23.
Yeah.
Not now. I'm not that stupid.
Yeah.
I see some of these workout videos where the guy does the leg press and he snaps his legs.
Yeah.
I don't want that to be me.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Akim, listen, is there anything you want to tell your fans out there or thank your sponsors?
Definitely, man. I can't say enough, Thank you to Gerard Dente and Team Muscle Meds for sticking by me all those years. You know, I've been with that company for a while now, and they've always been so supportive of, you know, me being a bodybuilder, me representing the brand and stuff like that. So I definitely couldn't have done it without their help, you know. So Gerard, you know, thank you so much for being supportive and giving me an outlet to be the best that I can be, you know.
And do you have any motivation to say to your fans who want to get into bodybuilding and be big like you?
I mean, I've always tell people the same thing, you know, just be realistic with your goals, man, you know, and if you stay true to who you are, you're definitely going to succeed. You know, I feel like individuality and just being unique to yourself is the most important thing when it comes to being successful at anything that you do. You know, don't try to be like anybody else. Just be yourself, you know?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. Do you have your own clothing line or website or Instagram?
I do have my shirts, but I've never been a person to be big on like printing them whenever I need to. As far as the business aspect, I definitely need to, you know, get better with that. But everybody, you know, anybody can follow me on Instagram or even on Facebook. You know, just IFBB Pro Akim Williams. You know, you'll find me on Instagram.
Make note of that, stalkers.
Yeah.
Send him a bunch of saucy DMs, please. Well, it's been a real pleasure having you on the Fit Rockstar.
Thank you so much.
Coming out. I know you got to go eat and get ready and train and all that stuff. So, Fit Rockstar signing off with the Brooklyn Beast, top Olympian Akim Williams. Till next time.